Welcome to episode 75 of the Scarlet Faithful podcast. I'm your host and co-founder, Aaron Breitman, coming to you on Friday, May 19th with not such good news. This is my rapid reaction to the breaking news that Cam Spencer is entering the transfer portal, leaving Rutgers men's basketball. It's a complete stunner. Came about very quickly and out of nowhere. I got confirmation 3 weeks ago. He was, you could say, set to return, but he never went anywhere. He was with the program working out the entire time this off season. He just went to a dinner last week for the R Fund to represent Rutgers men's basketball. He went to the Big Ten golf championships recently with Rutgers personnel. I mean, this was out of nowhere. He graduated last weekend, went home. 5 days later, he's entering the portal. So a lot to unpack here. Um, First off, I think this speaks to the reality of the college basketball recruiting scene right now, where I've said before, things are changed by not only the day now, they change by the hour. We went through the scare with Moat Mag and that rumor. So last Thursday was the deadline for the transfer portal for undergrads that want to be able to be automatically eligible to play next year, right? So that deadline passed. So we thought we dodged a bullet there. What we did with Moat Mag, grad transfers can still enter the portal at any time because they're graduates and they have 1 year of eligibility left and they can go anywhere they want. So what does that do? Right. So what I think partly changed, or not partly, I think what changed the situation is that teams that wanted to get players in the portal and didn't, all of a sudden now that deadline passes, grad transfers, their value goes up. They're a hotter commodity. If you're looking for a shooting guard, right, and the guys you were targeting or wanted, and we'll get back to the targeting in a minute, didn't enter, what are you going to do? You go and look for grad transfers that are can jump in at any time, and that's what happened here. I mean, this is very clear that to me. Yes, it's very disappointing that Cam Spencer is leaving. I really like Cam Spencer. He is loved in the program. He's a great culture guy. He's a hard worker. He's the kind of guy that's in the gym all the time. Obviously, his impact on the court last season was huge. You know, historic season. I've written about it, talked about it a lot. You know, he was tied for fifth highest 3-point shooting percentage in program history, tied the great Donnell Lumpkin, shot 43% from three. He finished fifth all time in a single season free throw shooting percentage at 90%. He had the sixth most steals in a season in program history, finishing right behind the great Caleb McConnell. You know, he was third in steals per game in the Big Ten behind the two co-Big Ten Defensive Players of the Year, Chase Ladish and McConnell. His value on the court, obviously huge. His value off the court was huge. You know, he's a great program guy. And it really stinks. It really does. I do want to say that, you know, I'm much more of a don't hate the player, hate the game. That's my philosophy. It's very clear that you're not entering the transfer portal on May 19th because you're going to fish and see what's out there. You know, this is a very targeted thing. I mean, this is, I don't know where he's going, but he's going somewhere specific. Um, and so what does that mean? That means there's clear tampering going on, right? That is for me, that's the bigger issue here is the system. There's a lack of institutional control by the NCAA. Shocker. And you know, people want to complain about NIL and student athletes making money and them pushing the issue and Geo being at the forefront of this. But at the end of the day, this is all a result of the NCAA hoarding profits for years and years and years. And then the Band-Aid got ripped off and they're at a loss. And what are they doing right now? They're in federal court trying to prevent, you know, legislation and there's a lawsuit with students. Are they student athletes? Are they employees? It's a mess. It's a mess. And tampering is against the rules. But does the NCAA enforce it? No. Has stuff like this been going on for years and years and years? Yes. it's much more rampant now that it's on the table in terms of NIL payments, but it's obviously taken to another level. And this is a prime example of Cam Spencer graduating Rutgers less than a week ago, locked in, firm as can be for next season. Less than a week later, he comes back and he's in the transfer portal. So, I see the human aspect of it. I mean, I'm a parent. I mean, if your kid can make six figures for a season of college basketball and set themselves up for life after college, it's I'm not gonna criticize or hate on that. It does stink from a relationship standpoint. I think that, and obviously, selfishly as fans, right? This is part of, and one of my favorite classes at Rutgers was sports and labor relations, and tremendous class. And I wrote a paper on Marvin Miller. And if you don't know who Marvin Miller is, he was the basically, he was the lawyer that led to the creation of free agency in Major League Baseball, and then obviously all sports. And so, I have a really good kind of background in terms of understanding all that happened there. And the biggest thing, it's kind of two-sided, right? I mean, it's good for the players, it's good for the student athletes, it stinks for the fans, it stinks. This is tough. And I think about the kids today. I mean, like, kids that love Cam Spencer. This, honestly, like, I think that's, I'm a big boy. This is really hard. But for kids, I feel awful today, in terms of what, you know, how they're going to deal with this news, that their favorite player is gone. And, it's going to be hard to understand. So, I guess life lessons coming in at an early age. And that is part of why I love sports, is I think, the lessons you learn in life through sports. But this one's a hard one to swallow. And I think it's just speaks to the volumes of the shadiness that's going on with tampering. And if you think that Cam Spencer is the only player that's been tampered with, I mean, obviously the Moat Mag rumors, they're Cliff Omori, even though he's was at the G League Elite camp, and hoping to get a combine invite. I mean, there was rumblings of people trying to get him to enter the portal, just as an option if he does return. So before the deadline, so it's a rampant thing, and it's not just a Rutgers thing. It happens everywhere. It's happening everywhere, and it is really hard on coaches. I mean, you have to feel for Peichel and the staff. I mean, the thing is, like, from a basketball perspective, Cam Spencer was set up to have an even better year next year. They brought in Noah Fernandes, a creator, point guard, can create off the dribble. You have Gavin Griffiths coming in, another shooter to put alongside him. Derek Simpson, year two, probably Paul Mulcahy. We don't know yet, but bringing in Fernandez alone was going to be make things better for Cam Spencer. Teams were not going to be able to just solely focus on him as the offensive threat. And think about where Rutgers would have been without Cam Spencer last year. Now you bring in reinforcements, you have other offensive weapons around him. He would have flourished. I was so excited. I talked about it last week on the podcast. I was so excited to see him play off the ball with Fernandez and with Griffiths as another shooter on the wing with him. It was ideal. I mean, I think he would have had a monster year. And to walk away from that, again, it's I don't know anything for sure, but it's you don't leave on May 19th with a guy that was rock solid a week ago. That was, he was only at Rutgers a year, but considered a strong program culture guy. This has to be a money issue. This is an NIL money issue. Someone came in, made an offer that he couldn't refuse, and it's not for me to decide if he should have refused it or not. But I can tell you from a basketball perspective, I think things were set up really well for him at Rutgers for this final season, and it's really disappointing just from loving college basketball, loving Rutgers men's basketball, that's not going to happen now. Um, and it's really tough. And now for the staff, it's a week out from Memorial Day, and now they lost a starter, right? We're still waiting on Cliff. Cliff has until May 31st to decide. We're technically still waiting on Paul Mulcahy, although I think they have a pretty good idea that he's coming back. Even more important now for him to come back. Um, but there's going to be plenty of guards in the portal. But are you going to find a guy that can come in and shoot 43% in the Big Ten, 90% from the foul line, be a disruptor defensively, be a team guy, and deliver and hit game winning shots like Spencer did against Purdue and Northwestern and made so many big shots in big games? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, and, it's a lot to juggle. They were already in the market for another big man, whether Cliff returns or not, um, but they're kind of on hold until Cliff decides. Now, you need to go out and get another guard, and, doing so at this stage, when that really there's over 1,000 players in the portal, right? But there's, I think, over 200 already committed elsewhere. There's a lot of that top 250 in terms of top 250 transfers that are already committed elsewhere. So, how do you proceed? How do you find the right fit? I'm very positive. I like the ability to adjust plans, and I sometimes think that it can lead to better things in terms of approach. They're going to be different now. They're not going to be constructed the same. Do you go out and get another creator, another ball handler, another guy that can create off the dribble, um, to go along with Fernandez and Simpson? You have Griffiths. I think you want a guy that can shoot for sure, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Do they go with another smaller guard? Do they get a bigger guard that can shoot? That's more stationary like Cam. Do they get a hybrid combo guard? I mean, there's going to be options. And obviously they're not going to reinvent the wheel, but they have choices now in terms of how they're going to replace him. Are any of those choices going to be better than if Cam Spencer returned? That's hard to say. Anything's possible, but just gut feeling on paper. Knowing who's out there in the portal, it's going to be hard. I do have full faith in the coaching staff to find the right fit. And listen, this kind of opens the door for Gavin Griffiths to play a bigger role. And we don't know where he's going to be at defensively right away. We still don't know the return date from Mawat Mag. I mean, no one knows. He's still in the recovery process. We know he's going to be he's in line to return next season. We don't know exactly when. So there's a lot of questions now about this team. I mean, without Cam Spencer, I wrote this that they're not a top half Big Ten team on paper today. Doesn't mean they won't be. Doesn't mean they can still obviously add to this roster, and they will. But this is a massive blow. This is the harsh reality of the college basketball world right now. Rutgers is example number one on Friday, May 19th, 2023. And yeah, for a fan base that's been through a lot, there's been a lot of winning in the last few years under Steve Peichel, and there's always going to be setbacks. And the setbacks now, I find them more painful than before because there's more on the line and there's more winning involved. And they were on paper, if Cliff returns and having, the personnel around him and the backcourt. I mean, the backcourt was set, with Fernandez, Simpson, Spencer, and most likely Mulcahy. I mean, that's a really strong backcourt. If Mulcahy does return with Simpson year two and Fernandez, it's still, there's still really good pieces there, but you need another guard, and I think you need a shooter. Um, it's tough. It's tough, and there's still a lot to like about this team. I mean, you still have Antoine Wolford coming back. You have Griffiths adding to the mix. Like I said, you have Mag at some point. Chol, and this also could open the door for Antonio Chol to play a bigger role. We'll see what happens there. I know the staff's really high on him. He is raw. He is a development project, but perhaps he can step up this year. So opportunity. This leads to more opportunity for everybody that's on the roster. So they're going to have to add to it, of course. Again, To me, this is just an indictment of the system and the fact that tampering goes on. And, listen, wherever he ends up, and we'll see what happens, how long the process draws out for Spencer. But I have strong, strong feelings that wherever he goes, that's the school that was tampering. That's the school that's paying him, and that's the school that created this situation. And you know, and anyone can criticize Spencer, that they want. Um, it's disappointing for sure. I'm disappointed that he's leaving. I'm disappointed that he's doing this now. It's one thing to leave in March or April, and to now leave the week before Memorial Day. It really puts the program in a bad spot. So I'm all for players doing what's best for them and their families. But the timing of this really stinks, and it's a tough one. It's tough. I can't sugarcoat it, and don't want to sugarcoat it. I feel sick to my stomach. This is awful, and this is my rapid rapid reaction to it. And all I can say is it's a roller coaster. Like I said, 3 weeks ago he was rock solid. He was confirmed. A week ago, he went to a dinner in a fundraising dinner for the basketball program. He goes home after graduation. He comes back a few days later, and he's entering the portal. So such is life. Such is the reality of college basketball these days. And I understand that people are fed up with it. And this one hurts. This one hurts, and this is one that will live on. You know, uh, in terms of, I mean, Rutgers had so many great players leave as transfers over the years, and this is going to be up there. This is going to be up there. I mean, Spencer was here just 1 year, but like I said, a historic season in terms of his shooting marks. And he had the highest offensive rating of any player in the Steve Peichel era. I mean, that's 7 years. It's not even close. So he was the best offensive player that Rutgers has had in the Steve Peichel era, and he's gone. And we thought he had one more year, and the rug got pulled out, and it's tough. So I don't need to keep rambling on about that. I hope maybe this helped cope with it a little bit. We'll have plenty more to discuss this off season. Certainly making a interesting off season even more so. And it's a critical off season for the program. I understand now people are going to be more concerned about the 24 class, which I had an episode about this week, and just the NIL conversation in general, and how Rutgers is, looking like they're disadvantaged right now. And I would say that that's probably accurate in most cases. So we'll see what happens. It's tough. It's tough, and we'll see what happens from here in terms of Rutgers rebuilding the roster. There's going to be plenty to discuss in terms of how they do that and different portal targets they're going to go after. But I think with the assistant coaching search still underway, you're replacing another staffer. There's a lot, there's a lot on Steve Pikel's plate right now. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. But this is certainly a critical moment, a transformational moment for the program in terms of how they can respond in the next month. They're going overseas in August. That's huge in terms of practice time, getting up to speed for next season. So that's kind of a blessing, right? Because they're going to have to work in even more new players now. But yeah, this is a hard one, and there's not much more else to say. Thank you for listening and watching once again at the Scarlet Faithful. Check all my coverage. I have more stuff on Cam and the program on the scarletfaithful.com, as well as all my other coverage. I hope you have a great weekend. If something comes up, I'll have an episode coming out. Otherwise, I'll see you on Monday, and have a great weekend.